Former presidential candidate of New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, has said the wind of change is gathering momentum and it would chase away bad leaders in the 2027 elections. Kwankwaso made the assertion yesterday when he received many defectors from All Progressives Congress to NNPP at his residence in Kano. He said the security operatives and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, would run helter-skelter at the dawning of the new Nigeria. While stating that the people had suffered enough because of bad governance, Kwankwaso said, I quote, "Nigerians and Northerners in particular have suffered enough, and no amount of pressure, fear and deceit will prevent them from changing the situation." He further stated that when the wind of change blows, you will see those who think they have security and INEC running helter-skelter, and Nigerians will make the right choice of those who will address their unfortunate situation. End of quote. All right, Rufai, is Nigeria in an unfortunate situation as asserted by Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso and this defection from mass exodus from the APC in Kano to NNPP?
That's the truth. The state of things are very bad in Nigeria today. That's a fact. All the economic indices shows that. But is it Kwankwaso that is talking about wind of change? Has he fixed his political... When they say they defect to the NNPP, what NNPP? Has he fixed his fight with Dr. Boniface and Yabonam that started the party in the first place? Who he collected permission to be able to use the platform with? They are loggerheads. So has he fixed that? Are we even sure on what platform they are going to run? Have all the opposition political figures think of how, have they thought of how to come together if they want to bring about this wind of change? And for this wind of change to happen, are the people carried along? Is it the people that are not ready to vote in the election? For this wind of change to happen, have we sorted out what happened in Edo? That the results on the IRF was different from what announced. In fact, many days after that election, I hear that even the IRF, I hear was still on 98%. It was not complete, and elections had been announced. Have we thought of what's happening in Rivers State? There are two courts of coordinate jurisdiction, Rivers State High Court and Federal High Court. One said, oh, you can't use the register. The other one said you can go ahead with the election. Early this morning, I got a message out of Port Harcourt by 1 a.m. talking about the fact that there were some people that wanted to ransack Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. The governor, Fubara, was there early this morning giving a press conference that they have stopped those people. There were protests back and forth in Rivers State just because some people want to play God. So has he factored in all of that for the wind of change? Has he factored in the impunity? You see, the only wind of change will happen when the opposition leader shows seriousness. They have not shown seriousness. There's fighting, internal fighting in the Labour Party. Wiki has taken over the PDP. Even the NNPP, a lot of fight. There's no opposition party as we speak today that there's no fight. That's why a lot of people are fearing the fact that this might just be a one-party state in favor of Tinubu already. Because all the oppositions are fighting among themselves. So for them to have any wind of change, at first they need to be able to coalesce efforts, number one. Secondly, they need to be able to fix their fight, like Atiku Abubakar said. Thirdly, they now need to be able to galvanize the people. Voter apathy has dropped. Only about 25 to 30% of the population come out to vote. Voter apathy has increased, beg your pardon. Only about 25 to 30% of the population come out to vote. So how you galvanize people that have lost interest in the system? That's where the wind of change can blow.
Okay, very quickly. Yeah, what is the subject again? The NNPP presidential candidate Rabiu Kwankwaso saying that in 2027 there will be a wind of change and that even INEC will run helter-skelter. By way of summary, it's just political talk. We should look at the context in which he made that statement. Persons in Kano State defecting from the APC to the NNPP. Okay, as the leader of the NNPP, what do you expect him to say? He will welcome the people and he will sell them hope. It is the duty of politicians to sell hope, to give people hope, to raise their expectations. So I think that, Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, making those statements, that's what a politician will say, basically. He will tell people who have defected from one party to the other that, oh, don't worry yourself. There will be a wind of change. In fact, when we come in 2027, INEC will run a tasketa. They will know that NNPP is the party. That's what he's supposed to say. However, the logical question will be to ask, okay, that wind of change that he says will blow, when we get to 2027, how will that wind of change blow? Who is going to provide the catalyst, the momentum for that wind of change? Look, this is politics. The main thing in politics is pragmatism. It's a practical subject. The APC, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do you imagine that the APC will just fold its arms and allow that wind of change to blow them out of office? It's not everybody that will be like President Goodluck Jonathan, who will say, my ambition is not worth the blood of anybody. No. The guys that are in the saddle now, they are hard players. They are tough fighters. So anybody can say anything. NNPP can say, wind of change will blow. Labour Party can come and say, we will do this. Showore can come and say, revolution now, and all of that. Look, this is a game of power. And in the game of power, you look out for yourself. What Nigerians should be talking about in this conversation is their own interest, not what one presidential candidate says, whether revolution or wind of change or whatever. It's a real politics. And in real politics, there is no morality. So the APC is going to play its own game, and they will bring their own wind to retain them in office. That is the reality. Look, who says before the next 4 years, if President Tinubu sees that the INEC that Alhaji Kwankwaso is saying will run a tasketa will not do his bidding, he will change the INEC chairman. He will change the people there. Look, this is politics. This is not newspaper grandstanding. Look, this is politics. But we'll see how it plays out. But I make the point that we must create the space for the Nigerian people to be the ones to decide. Yes. The people's choice is central to democracy. Free choice. And is the Nigerian government democratic? Would President Tinubu defend democracy? Those are the basic questions, not what one party leader is saying. They can say what they like. They are bringing wind of change, whatever. It's a contest of powers and influence.
All right, so this statement was made when over 960 members of the APC in Kano State defected to the NNPP, and on the back of that, Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso had said that his party might, would be placed or positioned to engineer a wind of change. There are two things he said I'd like to touch on very quickly this morning. Number one is INEC and the role that INEC plays in executing free and fair, credible elections. If we're going to have a wind of change, whatever that interpretation means for anybody in Nigeria, we must have a strong institution. And so, despite the fact that the Electoral Act was supposed to be the game changer in terms of the use of technology, more transparency, real-time transmission of results, we saw how that played out in the last election. We've heard complaints about complicity of some INEC officials or recs who have been partisan. If we're going to fix elections in 2027, if we're going to have a better outcome whereby it's the people's choice that actually determine who becomes the leader, then INEC, we must take a cursory look at INEC. We cannot leave them out. We only talk about them when it's time to execute an election or criticize heavily how they were able to, to execute the election. And even when it comes to defending how they did it, the withholding of assets to political parties who want to defend their election, for instance, we need to look into INEC. The INEC chairman has a lot of questions to answer to. So when we're talking about a wind of change, we must look at the institution itself, because the voice of the Nigerian people must be heard loud and clear. The other thing I was going to say is that Dr. Kwankwaso came a distant fourth in the last election. So if you're looking at a wind of change, do they have the political strength or power across Nigeria to engineer that? If this is going to happen, as was said before, there might have to be a coalition of opposition parties, and then they must be willing to put aside personal interest in the interest of the greater good of Nigeria. If that doesn't happen, unfortunately, we're not going to see a wind of change in 2027. It's going to be business as usual, individual politicians who want to protect their political interests without thinking of the Nigerian people. The best that this demonstrates is that he has just been able to maybe gain more ground in Kano State with the Kwankwaso movement. But again, I don't know to what extent that the strength of that. But let's move on to another story. And Rufai, you referred to this when you were analyzing earlier on. The governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, has foiled an attempt by the Nigerian police led by the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations in the State's Police Command to take over the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission at about 1 a.m. Friday morning, so the early hours of this morning. The rogue policemen were said to have attempted to scale through the gates and strong room of the commission to cart away sensitive electoral materials meant for the conduct of tomorrow's local government election in the state. But the plot was botched when vigilant security officials alerted principal officers of the commission and relevant government authorities, who immediately informed the governor Fubara about the development. Fubara immediately led a team of government officials, lawmakers from the National Assembly and State House of Assembly, top political stakeholders and other leaders to storm the facility, thereby preventing the plan.
We came here this morning when we heard that according to what they call themselves, Nigerian police, are coming to take over the premises of Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. And I had to come myself to find out why would such a thing happen. From what I heard, that one DC operation brought them here to withdraw the policemen that are already here protecting this place, so that new officers will take over the place. But I have to say this on a very strong note. We've been taking enough nonsense from this institution. Everybody is aware of the court judgment, and even the judgment as they call it, the ruling. Did the ruling specify anywhere that the election should not hold? He said, don't give voters register. What are we doing with it? Okay, police, don't provide security. Don't provide security. Is this the same thing as blocking the election? I don't know what the relationship between Inspector General of Police and one person who claims he has so much power in this state. I don't know the relationship, because it's beginning to go beyond the normal professional relationship. I said the government wrote a letter with the judgment that we have to him, and what he's acting on is what he called the federal government, the judgment he got from the Federal High Court. Even at that, if we should go by that, if the judgment in the Federal High Court, did he say election should be bad? Lifu, that justice that gave that fraudulent judgment, did he say no election? Rather, it technically said, don't provide. We don't need your security. We will provide our own security. After all, it happened in Anambra. Go away with your security. But this election must hold. If you like whatever it is you want to do, do it. The election will hold, the result will be declared. People will be sworn in. Yes. I say it here.
It's not a banana.
What kind of a country is it? And when it comes to the issue of Rivers State, it becomes different.
Well, the governor there talking tough, taking no prisoners, and speaking out in Rivers State. Rufai, your take on this story?
That's the wind of change. Democracy is a joke, and we support criminals in this country. Except we stop supporting criminals, this country will never move forward. So where's the morality in our democratic process? Where's the fairness? Because if we say that there is no fairness and no morality, then it should be about how much I can carry guns and destroy the prospect of other people. 2 courts of coordinate jurisdiction, giving 2 different judgments. It's already caused chaos already. Just because some people up there have interest in Rivers State. And where is President Tinubu in all of this? You are seeing this happen in your country, and you say you believe in democracy. You fought for democracy. All right. You can see all of this that is happening. Want to just cut to the local government elections because it's not in some people's interest. President Tinubu, talk to your minister.
Not too long ago, the INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, offered to conduct state elections for local councils. And there are persons in this country who have called for the, abolition of state independent electoral commissions. For what reason? Because of the lack of integrity in those elections, because of the pervasive perception that these state independent electoral commissions are not independent in any sense, because they are in the pockets of the governors of the states. Those state independent electoral commissions being the creation, as it were, of the state houses of assembly. So they're created by state law. But for them to get the register to do the election, they have to rely on INEC. So what we have in Rivers State will seem to be a justification that we must take a second look at these state independent electoral commissions and perhaps abolish them. This does not mean, we must know this, for people who are hard of hearing, it does not mean that INEC is perfect in terms of how to conduct state elections. Number two, as of yesterday morning, there were issues in Rivers State. You had a faction of the People's Democratic, not a faction, well, whatever, the People's Democratic Party protesting that the election was not hold. To the best of our knowledge, Fubara is a product of the People's Democratic Party. So his own party protesting that the elections must not hold. Number two, you had Tony Okocha, I think that's the name of the APC chairman in Rivers State. Also, factions. There are too many factions in Rivers. Also leading a protest that the election tomorrow must not hold. And then you had the dramatic intervention of the governor storming the headquarters of the CIEC, of the RCIEC, and saying that, look, policemen are trying to cut away election materials. Well, we expect the police, through the office of the Inspector General of Police, to clarify the role of the police in this election tomorrow. Beyond that, however, we are faced with a situation in Rivers where there is rulings and counter-rulings. One court says INEC must not give materials. Another court says INEC must give materials. Confusion. So there is a lack of clarity also in Rivers State. But at the end of the day, these politicians have spared no thought for the people of Rivers, which should be more important. And we all know the background to the local government elections in Rivers State. So it looks like all the gladiators are out on the battlefield. Jungle, to quote Governor Fubara, has finally matured in Rivers State.
All right, well, like I said earlier, the governor was talking tough there, and it's great to see him show strong leadership, not on his watch, and hopefully the voice of the people will be the loudest in all of this, and at the end of the day, may the people win. Well, we have a guest coming on later to dissect this particular conversation, especially what's going on in Rivers State. So stay tuned for that one, Professor Nwokocha. But let's move on to our final report this morning. Access Corporation, a leading player in the financial services industry, has completed its acquisition of ARM Pension Managers Limited, creating Nigeria's second largest pension fund manager. Arise correspondent Georgina Ndukwe Eziainka has details.
A journey that began 9 months ago has finally become a reality. The merger between two accomplished pension fund managers, Access Pension and ARM Pension. Stakeholders, customers, and shareholders have gathered to witness the unveiling of the name and logo of the new entity that will position the emerging business as Nigeria's second largest pension fund manager, with combined assets under management about 3 trillion naira.
Merging with ARM Pension, a pioneer in many ways in the investment management industry and the private sector, both entities have built strong brand equity and have a track record of strong investment performance.
What I do know is that the future is extremely bright for these combined entities.
The commitment we make as a board today and the challenge to our management and staff is that we want to lead to be the number one in this industry.
Access ARM Pensions Limited will serve over 2 million retirement savings account holders with total shareholders fund exceeding 20 billion naira, surpassing regulatory requirements.
It's an opportunity to create a brand that, well, we can all be proud of. It's proudly an indigenous brand.
Customers of both ARM and Access Pensions expressed satisfaction with the services, welcoming the merger.
I am so happy and grateful that my money will grow. I'll be a happier person. I know that on a monthly basis, I will receive my pension.
I can tell you that from experience, both pension fund administrators are excellent.
The acquisition underscores Access Corporation's expansion strategy, consolidating its presence in Nigeria's financial services sector.
It's a decision that was made by Access Holdings when they decided to enter the space, pension space. They made a decision to be one of the top players in the industry.
The unveiling of the new name and logo, as well as the release of the balloons, signals the beginning of a new era for Access ARM Pensions Limited and the nation's pension sector. Georgina Ndukwezainka, Arise News.
Congratulations, Access Corporation, and of course on that merger with ARM Pension.